All right, so welcome to this week's episode. We are going to cut to the chase because I have a lot of information to cover. Today is all about your moon sign, and I'm going to go over 5 ways to use your moon sign in your brand. I'm also going to be talking about why the moon is so important in your brand and the things to look at and consider astrologically when you look at your natal chart and discover more information about your moon sign. And then we're going to go through the questions asked in my community, The Savvy Luminary. I asked them earlier this week to give me their questions about their moon sign and their brand. And oh my gosh, so many questions. So I'm going to get through as many as possible here today. If I didn't answer your question, or if you have more questions, please, you are welcome. You are invited to my free Facebook group called The Savvy Luminary, just like this podcast. Hop on over. I give lots of information about the astrology of the day, ask all kinds of questions, and we would love to have you. So let's dive in. So before we get into the 5 ways to use your moon sign in your brand and business, I kind of want to go over why the moon sign is so important. So you probably already know this. Our moon sign represents our inner self, our emotional self, our intuitive self, that really soft part of ourselves. And, things are changing now, and I'm so glad that they are because, you would never think about integrating the softness and the vulnerable and the healing part into, your business aspect, right? It used to be that the old boys school kind of format of business was like tough and strong and hard shell exterior, don't show them your weaknesses. Gladly, all of that is changing, and our moon sign is so important. I call our moon sign part of our inner brand, the part of the brand that others don't see, but let me tell you, they certainly get a sense of it, right? You've probably met people who, they look wonderful, but you can really get this vibe of insecurity, or this person who's talking about all these wonderful things, but you know that just behind the surface, there's all this inner conflict going. But when we really look to our moon sign and keep on revisiting and relearning what our moon wants to know about ourselves, we can peel back the layers and begin to build the wholeness. So we come off as a secure yet vulnerable brand that your right people are instantly attracted to. And as we go through the 5 ways to use your moon sign in your brand, you're going to find real examples of what happens when you don't acknowledge your moon sign, when you don't integrate all that it wants you to know. Our moon sign is probably the most karmic of all of our signs. We are born into this life with past hurts and things that we're supposed to learn and accomplish. And we can see this all from our moon sign. So let's go right into it. 5 ways to use your moon sign in your business. So the first way to use your moon sign in your business is to create emotional connection. Oh my goodness, I know we've been talking about emotions a lot. It is Cancer season. So that is really why I wanted to put this moon sign episode out during Cancer season, because we're already connecting with our emotional selves. In business, emotion is used as a driver, right? Of course, none of us here are using this in a manipulative way, but you've heard this many, many times, not just from me, that our emotions are what connects us to other people, connects us to other experiences. You've probably heard the phrase, people will not remember what you say, people remember how you make them feel. So, how are you making somebody else feel in your brand? And we can discover this through our moon sign. So our moon sign, yes, it's the emotional sense from our personal sense. We can look at our moon sign to understand how we need to feel to be emotionally secure. That's going to be different for each one of us. Each one of us has our own emotional needs and our own motivations. And if we're not clear on our own emotional needs, oftentimes we can be operating out of a place of fear versus a place of faith, right? You may have heard me use this example before. When we look at the elements of astrology, we have our fire signs, we have our air signs, we have our water signs, and then we have our earth signs. And to me, these all come in kind of a linear order, right? Our fire signs are the inspiration. It's our connection to spirit where we get these wonderful ideas that kind of flash in our mind. And then as the fire inspires us, then it goes into our head and we think about it and we mull it over and we think about it and we think about it some more. And for those of us who have a lot of air signs, sometimes all this thinking about it gets really stuck up there. I know for me, thinking about it, I can really get stuck when I think about it too much. But it's our heart, right? Our emotional sense, and that is represented by the moon, that then enables us to manifest, to actually take action and do, right? And so through our heart, our emotional sense, we then get to tell our body, take this action or take another action. And guess what? It's our emotions that allow us to hopefully make choices based on faith. As an entrepreneur, you are taking risks every day. And now, are you jumping off the cliff because you're being chased by a lion out of fear? Or are you jumping off the cliff because you know that as you jump, something is going to catch you and something bigger and better is waiting for you? And so knowing this emotional center, what we need to feel secure in order to make those leaps of faith versus those leaps of fear really helps us manifest. And then also with the emotional connection, that same other side of the coin, right? If we know that our moon sign is this place of how we need to feel and how we need to heal, it goes the other way too, because our moon sign is going to attract. Our moon serves as this kind of beacon that the emotions that we give off when it's aligned with our moon sign attracts the people that we are meant to serve. So you can see how our moon sign helps us with our customer connection. Now, I know we can't always be strong and have this outer shell like we are invincible. I hope that none of us feel that we need to be that way. And so our moon sign helps us gain that emotional connection of where we need for ourselves extra loving care, right? Being strong isn't just about feeling invincible, but it's actually really knowing what we need to feel emotionally secure, right? So there's this idea of vulnerability. Some people see vulnerability as weaknesses. I do not. I see vulnerability as strength. When we can really say what we need to feel secure, then we can then go out and tell people what we need. And that gives us strength. Being able to speak for what we desire, to be able to express how we're feeling, yes, that is very, very vulnerable. And only the strongest people can be vulnerable. The next way we use our moon sign in our brands is by developing our intuition. You know, I've talked to so many people about kind of their intuitive abilities, and people come in two camps. They're like, yes, I totally have it. And there are people like, no, that's not me. But let me tell you, we all have intuition, regardless of what you call it. Maybe you call it your gut or your spidey sense, or maybe you have developed your intuition so well that you can see the aura and the sparkles of people, or you can access past lives for your customers or for yourselves. Wherever you are in the spectrum of having access to your intuition, let me just tell you, we all have it, and it takes practice. Now, for those of you who are like, no, I don't have any intuition, or my intuition is not that strong, it only hits me at a certain times, we've been systematically educated to not trust our intuition, right? For most of us, our intuition has been removed from us. It's been taught to us that we shouldn't trust our gut, shouldn't trust our spidey sense. But I know we are coming into this new phase and this new way of being where we are now getting more in touch with our intuition. And you can hear business gurus of all shapes and sizes saying, trust your gut, trust your gut. Your gut never leads you astray. Yes, that is very true. So when you understand your moon sign, right, you understand the element of it, whether it's fire or air or earth or water, that's going to give you some insight as how you receive the information from your intuition. My intuition is a fire. I have a Sagittarius moon. I get these hits, these downloads, right? But I know I've had worked with people who have water signs. Like there's a lot of you emotional, beautiful Cancer moon signs, right? Moon is in its home in Cancer. And for you, you get these feelings, just like these feelings that kind of warm your entire body, right? I know some of you intuitives get these shocks, these electrical shocks through your nervous systems, right? That can be another fire moon, or that can be like a Uranus placement with your moon. When we look at our moon sign, it's going to give us lots and lots of insight as to how you're meant to receive the gifts of your intuition, right? So if you can understand your moon sign and use it to map where your spidey sense is coming from. Maybe it comes from your body. Maybe it comes from your emotions. Maybe it comes from your mind. There's so many different ways that your intuition is sending you signals all the time, and your moon has the key. What I'm trying to tell you is that your intuition, when you're trying to discern whether it's fear talking or your intuition will never have an emotional undertow. So the third way that you can use your moon sign in your brand is to face your fears. Oh my goodness, so many fears come up for business owners and for entrepreneurs. Actually, for all of us, we all have fears, right? And our moon sign being one of our karmic energies in our charts, the other karmic energies would, be like Saturn and Chiron. Some of these some astrologers call them the malefics, the bad energies. Again, I hate astrology that judgments like that. Like we need all of these energies in us. So these are kind of these karmic energies that bring in unfinished business from past lives, right? And the moon sign is one of those energies. And so the moon sign, when we look at understanding the shadows and fears that need to come to light based on our moon sign, this is going to give us so much better of a foundation in which we can then move forward. So we all have shadows and fears, and especially for entrepreneurs, the fears can sound like fear of failure, right? If you have a fear of failure, you might not take the risks. Or fear of success. I recently was talking to Janine in my Luminary rising, and we're going to be working on our moon sign for the month of July. We started some pre-work, and one of the assignments was to read The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and what she discovered was that she has a fear of success. Oh my, who else here has a fear of success, right? A lot of us have fears around money, right? Whether it's the lack of money or the abundance of money, there's all kinds of baggage around money, right? And then also belonging is another big fear, right? So belonging is like, will I be accepted? Will my ideas be accepted? Will people like me? Or also the other way, like too many people like me. I don't want to be that popular, right? So when we look at our moon sign, we have a clearer picture of what those shadows and fears are. And it's so important to really understand what those shadows and fears are. Like in the very beginning, we were talking about emotions, right? And how emotions are the gateway as to whether or not we take inspired action or fearful action, or maybe just take no action at all. But when we face our fears and face our shadows, the idea is to not hide from the shadows, to avoid the shadows. No. You know that when you avoid shadows, and the older you get and the more you continue to avoid them, the more they pile up, right? So the idea is that we get really intimate with our shadows. We begin to love them, understand them, thank them, so that we can go through them and learn from them versus trying to avoid the discomfort of feeling those shadows. And when we begin to face our shadows and bring them to light, we start to fill all of those holes, those missing pieces of ourselves. And as we fill these missing pieces of ourselves, the true healing begins to happen. And, we've been talking about this for a while, this kind of emotional work that we're doing in our business, because we have to take risks. We have to take calculated risks based on faith in our business so that we can grow, so we can show up for our communities. And we are doing the work right now. All right. The fourth way to use your moon sign in your brand is so that you can choose your destiny. Yes, if you don't choose your destiny, if you don't choose how you want to be seen, someone else is going to choose for you. And you know what happens when that happens. So our moon sign also shows us how we desire to be seen and recognized. Oh my goodness. I have worked with so many clients that when I have talked about their moon sign and say, hey, you truly want to be seen as X, Y, or Z. And they're like, oh my goodness, yes. I've always denied that part of myself because I didn't think that it was appropriate to want to be seen and recognized in that way. Hello, right? Can you imagine knowing how your moon sign wants to be recognized and then being validated so that you could really truly live in that? How empowering would that be? Oh my gosh, I'm specifically talking to all of you Aries moon sign people. I have talked to so many of you, and you know who I'm talking about, right? You know, if you have an Aries moon sign, you want to be seen as the trailblazer. You want to be first. You want to be that wild-hearted, passionate, like anything goes kind of person. So what is preventing you from that? So when you know exactly how you want to be seen and how you want to be recognized and how you need to feel, oh my gosh, how secure would you be knowing all of that, feeling all of that, being all of that, right? The other thing about the moon sign is that you get to choose to see all of your challenges and all of the hurts that you've learned to work through as gifts. These challenges and your past hurts, they become these amazing, valuable tools, valuable gifts, valuable adds to your offering because you are fully equipped to serve others who are going or have gone or will go through those same issues that you have overcome. You get to choose to see these challenges as gifts. You get to choose how you desire to be seen. You get to choose your destiny, right? You are an entrepreneur because you wanted to create a business to fulfill a certain part of your life. And your moon sign can show you exactly all of that if you don't already know. All right. So now we are up to the fifth way you can use your moon sign in your brand. And this is creating your why. So if you've done the emotional work and created that emotional connection, if you've done the work to really get in touch and fine tune your intuition, if you've done the work to face your fears, if you've done the work to choose your destiny, all of these packaged up inform your why. Now, there have been people who've written entire books on your why and why your why is important in your business and your brand. But know that your why allows you to understand your clear intentions and motivations. Your why puts everything you do and gives everything you do the meaning in your life. When you look to your moon sign to understand your why, you're going to be able to package this all up, write it all out, and go out and share your story, all with this underlying meaning. It's going to create that emotional connection that we talked about earlier that attracts your ideal customers. Your why allows you to share your vulnerabilities with power, with intentions. And your why connects you with others through your story. Why you are the exact person or business that they are meant to work with. In the month of July, we're going to be looking at all of these things: our emotional connection, our intuition, facing our fears and choosing our destiny, and claiming our whys. All of these are so important in our business and our brands. So join us for the month of July and take part in this implementation challenge of our moon sign as we face our fears together. So we did a thing. I started a Patreon account, and you can find us at patreon.com/the savvy luminary. There are 3 different levels, and you can get anything from printable monthly astrological calendars, new moon intention worksheets, astrology trainings, and replays of premium astrology workshops. Please consider supporting this podcast and becoming a Patreon supporter. Patreon, you might have already heard of it, but it is spelled patreon.com/the savvy luminary. And just a reminder, in July, my flagship branding and astrology program, Luminary Rising, is focusing on our moon signs. And we're going to be doing this deep dive as a community, right? Because you don't need any more information. You need help on integrating all of this healing. So we're going to be covering how we desire to be seen in our business, what motivates us or holds us back, and how we need to move through all those blocks. As we've been talking about this entire episode, this is all represented in our moon sign. So this is a perfect time to join a community of other driven spiritual entrepreneurs who desire to build their brand awareness using astrology. I have a summer special just for the month of July, so you can do this restorative work during this healing season. Head over to thesavvyluminary.com/rising. I have a special if you'd like to join for just 1 month. You can do that for the month of July. All right, so let's talk about the questions from my community. Oh my gosh, there are so many amazing questions. So I'm going to try to get through as many of them as possible in the next 10 minutes. So Nikki asks, if our moon sign reflects our internal world, what's the best way to externalize it to bring it out in our brand and business? Oh my goodness. So Nikki, I feel like this whole episode answered your question. Our moon sign, yes, is part of our inner brand. And our inner brand, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the episode, this is not necessarily something that people will see, but it's something people sense. And when we can use our moon sign to really create a sense of wholeness, create a sense of, it's more than a sense of wholeness. You ask, how is the best way to externalize our moon sign? Well, by internalizing our moon sign and by claiming all of the things that we need to do and feel to be emotionally secure, it's going to shine out brightly in our external brand. People are going to sense that we are completely aligned when we do the work that our moon sign asks us to. Keisha asks, what are some examples of how you incorporated your moon sign in your brand? Did you use your zodiac colors, numbers, moon phase of your exact birth, or other characteristics? Oh my goodness. I love that you asked this question because this is probably one of the things that I have the hardest time explaining, because I think because I do design work so naturally, it's very instinctive. And, sometimes when you do something so naturally, it's really hard to talk about it and systemize it and teach it to other people. But yes, I am a Sagittarius moon, and Sagittarius moon for me, what I've discovered, and it's in the sixth house of, when we look at business astrology, it's about operations and showing up on a consistent basis and having a team and having employees and having, really automated clear systems. So my moon sign per se doesn't come out on the visual design of it, but our brand, as I teach branding, our brand is the entire experience that somebody has with our business. So I want to make sure that I use the sixth house elements of having technology and automations and systems that, sometimes break. um, but I look at my personal moon sign in that sixth house from creating this really slick experience. At least that's my intention. As for the symbols, yes, I actually, because my business is New Moon Creative, and I mentioned earlier that I love all things moon, my personal birth time was during the balsamic moon. So after fourth quarter moon, it's losing its light onto new moon. So in a lot of my symbols, you'll see that kind of that crescent moon, the crescent losing light moon. I do use that in my chart. Now, I look at other things when I'm looking at zodiac colors. Normally, when I'm designing brands for clients, the colors that I'm choosing are based on their rising sign, are based on their midheaven, as those are the most visible parts of our chart. And then so I make that the most visible part of the brand. So when I'm looking at moon sign, it's more the interior part of the brand. So I hope that served you, Keisha. Janet asks, I'm an Aquarius sun and an Aries moon. How do I work with my moon to get myself to take action? I keep thinking I need more knowledge to start talking about my business. Oh my goodness. So Janet, I asked you a bunch of different questions about your moon sign and where it was placed in your chart. And I hope that through this episode, you heard some of these things about, yeah, our moon sign is the sign that enables us to take action or not to take action. Our sun sign, while very important, is just like what we do naturally. And, when I was thinking, okay, your fiery moon, what do you need to take action? Well, Aries moon, and I gave specifically, not even thinking about you, Janet, about this, about taking action. It's kind of funny that you say that are thinking about it a lot, thinking about it. Well, your moon sign, looking at your chart, is in the seventh house of relationships, right? So you really take action when you have maybe an accountability partner, having a friend, having a business bestie to help you, to work with you. Working in partnership really motivates you. Now, knowing that you're Aries moon sign, you want to be first, that you're passionate, that you want to be seen as bold and courageous. That should also help you take action. Monique asks, my moon sign is in Libra and wondering about how I can communicate all of what I do so people will be saying hell yes, and I can easily make the sales instead of it being hard work. Oh my goodness, Monique. Yes, I loved doing an astro brand reading for you. And, we didn't get a chance to go deep, deep, deep into the moon. Like, there's just so many layers that we peel back and peel back and peel back. But through this episode, I hope that you heard the part about our why, about working through our stories, right? I know that you tell your story really, really great, about your childhood experiences of growing up, and where you live now. And these are these like very like these little parts of you that you're sharing with people. But what is missing that your moon sign can then add to is about why that that experience has motivated you to take a certain path, to do what you do, right? So with your moon sign in Libra, oh my gosh, Libra is such a beautiful sign. It's a peace-loving sign. It is the sign that loves to connect with others. It really wants to connect intimately with people, working, probably you may or may not have noticed this, but you probably love working more one-on-one on an intimate level. Like Libras, yes, there is this part of Libras that want to be desire to be like the popular person, the person that everybody loves. So knowing with your Libra moon sign, it's like if you can feel into this idea of balance, if you can feel into this desire of being like in partnerships, in collaborations, in teams, right? And being in harmony, and being completely friendly, right? And working through the shadow sides of Libra, right? Avoidance, codependency, indecision, people pleasing. Those are some of the shadows, right? So when we get really clear about our past hurts, our past experiences that are now gifts, we can claim, for you, claiming the ideal of Libra, how you want to be seen, but also then integrating your why, integrating what motivates you, what of the Libra aspects motivates you to take these actions, that kind of the melding of your actual, the experiences that you have gone through, grown through, and packaging them all up into your why. All right, Karen asks, my moon is in Leo, 7th house, and it's part of a yod configuration. Because 7th house is about partnerships, does that mean I would honor my moon best by partnering with others who vibe with my Leo moon energy? Or would the focus be on incorporating my moon energy through all things business related? Yeah, so it's interesting because 7th house is about your ideal customers. So in a way, your Leo moon just on itself is about healing your ability and claiming your desire to be seen as this, this creative, passionate force, right? You think about Leo and the Leo archetype, it's like passionate, it's like prideful, it has so much heart, right? And it's super, super, super creative, right? So you want to acknowledge that you want to be seen as this, person on stage, right? Like Leo is also this kind of like royal archetype, right? So you want to be honored, you want to be seen and respected and be honored, right? So that's one part of your moon sign. And then now when you're, it's also related to partnering, right? You do want to be in, similar to the Libra moon, you do want to be in collaboration with others. And of course, it's always going to be with people who vibe with your Leo energy. So how do you use that Leo energy to kind of create the wholeness of your inner brand? But I hope that serves for at this moment. Rachel asks, I have one of those charts that drastically differ between whole sign and placidus. I have my moon in the 4th degree Libra in the 12th house in a whole sign chart, but in placidus, it's in the 10th house with a 4th degree Libra, even though 10th house is mostly ruled by Virgo. How do I know which is correct or more accurate to refer to, and how does this work for complementing my business? I have a spiritual remote-based business for yoga, energy, sound healing, trauma liberation, and spiritual life coaching. When I'm looking at charts, when I'm doing astro branding, I look at placidus. I've been taught that you want to look at the different types of, once you learn astrology and once you get really familiar with the different energies, you want to pick the house system that most resonates with you. Now, whole sign charts by whole sign houses by design do not have interceptions. Interceptions are where there's either like a sign that is locked in to a house, meaning there's no cusps in it, or you have a house that's locked in by an entire sign, meaning there's two house cusps that have the same sign. Now, I love placidus because it has these interceptions, these kind of wonkiness. By design, whole sign houses, you don't have interceptions, so you don't get this added layer of information, like you said. when you look at it in Placidus, your 10th house with 4 degrees in Libra, even though your 10th house is mostly ruled by Virgo. If just looking at what I practice with Placidus, your moon sign is in the 10th house. And that's really amazing, even though it's in Libra, even though desiring balance and desiring partnerships, like these are the things that you need, these are the things that motivate you. To me, just hearing you talk about your business, about spiritual remote business for yoga, energy, sound healing, trauma liberation, spiritual life coaching, to me this is about balance, right? Your Libra moon, about bringing balance and delivering unbalance for your customers. So Grace says, I am an Aries moon. How can I use that energy in my brand while speaking to my ideal customer? Oh my goodness, Grace. So yes, we've talked about your Aries moon before, and I talked a little bit about Aries moon here, about the Aries moon. Anybody who has an Aries moon desires to be seen as like this passionate, wild-hearted woman, right? Or a wild-hearted brand. This me first, like I'm here to be bold. I am here to be courageous. And so the moon sign doesn't, the way the moon sign comes out when speaking to your ideal customer is that your moon sign, your interior life, your emotional security, your intuitive self needs to be in this place of wholeness. It needs to be in this place of power, that you have claimed yourself as this passionate, wild-hearted woman who loves to be bold, who loves to be, dressed in beautiful, bright colors, right? Who wants to be seen. Like Aries, there's this element, fire signs, they want to be seen, right? And so you don't really speak to your customers through your moon sign, but you can see that your moon sign is always emanating. It's coming out. So you need to get that, claim your Aries moon, and it'll naturally shine through while speaking to your ideal customer. Use everything that you know about your Aries moon to, work through your fears, work through your different stories. Use your Aries moon. Maybe there was like thinking about Aries moon and what it could represent in terms of hurt. Like maybe there was a time where you were told you're shining too brightly. Don't shine like that. You can't always be first. That's not for you. Like those are some maybe, traditional things that a person with Aries moon, the shadow side of that, would have suffered. So how did you work through those things? Telling your stories about how you work through those things, and using them as stories to attract your ideal customers and to inform the why you do what you do. Anyway, until next week. Mahalo for listening to this brand new podcast. If you enjoyed learning about astrology for entrepreneurs, help me spread the word by sharing this podcast with your business besties, and hop over to the Savvy Luminary for links to episode notes and our free Facebook community where you can send me questions about astrology or branding, as well as connect with other like-minded businesses.